question.
Yes. As much as I love the effects on the Nightmare series, I would say the first one is arguably the creepiest, without that much effects.
Yeah.
Can you tell me about, or us, about being creepy without too much special effects?
Well, I mean, part of it was when we saw those movies, we had not been indoctrinated with CGI. The problem with too much CGI is you can spot it. It looks a little bit animated. And when you do too much of it, it gives you a distance. It puts you back a little from the experience. When you do a practical effect, let me give you an example, a real stunt. What's the movie Final Destination? Remember the first Final Destination movie? That movie came out in the middle of the big, huge renaissance of CGI special effects. Everything in the first Final Destination, those are all real stunts. When the plane comes apart and all the guys get sucked out, they really did that. Those guys are on yank wires. That's not CGI. You know it when you see that movie. Now, obviously, they have help and they do CGI to take out the wires, but that's why we love Mad Max Fury Road so much. There's CGI in it, but they start and end every stunt. There's a beginning and part of this, all those stunts, part of them are real in that movie. Those guys on the poles, they're really guys on poles. Now, when you see the guy fly through the air and hit the ground, part of that is a stunt. But they really throw guys through the air. You just don't, but they might have the ending might be CGI. So you watch that movie a little differently, and the editing is so magnificent. I think what happened, people fell in love with all the new toys in filmmaking, and CGI was a new toy. And so they did it so much, and they used it to solve problems. And sometimes you can solve those problems at the very beginning. You have to start always with a script. And a scare, or a thrill, or a cheap thrill has to come at a certain part. You have to set it up right. And it doesn't always have to be an effect. Sometimes it can just be, I get a great scare in a movie called Urban Legend that I do. And I'm just standing behind a door like this. And they close the door and I'm there, and people jump every time they see that movie. Because I'm playing the red herring. You think maybe I'm the bad guy at that point. So I think that they have to remember that's the part of the structure. I love good special effects, but when there's too many of them, the film begins to look a little bit animated, and then you distance yourself from it. It's almost like you're watching a cartoon. Whereas when stuff's real and visceral, you react more to it. That's what's so great about it. But there can be great effects. The bear fight in Revenant, Leonardo DiCaprio. That's a combination of great effects, a man in a bear suit, and a real bear. But they storyboarded it so perfectly, it works. It's almost flawless. And they set you up with that really good too, because it's a real bear in the beginning of that sequence. So you're set up very well. I just think that they use CGI to solve too many problems. They say, oh, we can fix it in post, meaning post-production. So they'll use an effect instead of saying, well, maybe the line of dialogue here sucks, or maybe our plot was wrong here, or maybe we can't have too many thrills in a row. What happens, what Wes Craven knew to do was, Wes let you laugh a little bit. Sam Raimi does this too. Sam Raimi lets you laugh with the movie, and then he sets you up for another thrill or another scare, as opposed to just trying to scare you over and over and over again. Then what happens is you have so much nervous tension that in fact you begin to laugh at the movie because you release that nervous tension, and that's how you do it. When people get really scared, they do laugh a bit. That's one of the reactions to being really scared, is laughing, because you can't take it anymore. But you don't want people laughing in a horror movie. You want them to laugh when you want them to laugh. You want to be able to kind of structure it. So I think those are some of the things that are happening now. But I think that they're realizing they can blend practicals and effects now, practical effects and special effects. And again, I think they're going back to what's inherently scary in a film, whether it's claustrophobia, whether it's drowning, whether it's just an actor setting, just a really, an actor well cast playing evil, you know, an Anthony Hopkins or somebody. You know, I think these are the ways to solve that. More questions? Any questions? Yes, sir.
I have a question. Nightmare on Elm Street was a legendary movie, and you are an incredible actor.
Thank
Performed
you.
incredible at that. I wanted to know, would you come back for a remake, or would you be interested?
Well, you know, my problem is, you guys, I'm getting old. And, I mean, I work all the time, but I can't do as many stunts as I used to. I've got screws in my ankle. I got bad arthritis here from a stunt. And, you know, when you have to snap your head in a fight scene, it's not just this side, it's every other angle. They put their camera up there, they put a GoPro camera up your butt. You know, you get it over and over and over again. I can barely get out of bed the next day. And so I also think they want to reboot the entire franchise. Now, yes, I could do one more Freddy, but they want to do 7 more Freddys, and maybe more than that. Maybe Freddy versus Jason versus Ash or something eventually. So they want to get an actor that can play Freddy, that the audiences will approve of, and that they can bring him along. So they got to get somebody younger. That we're talking about. I couldn't do one in 5 years, probably. But I would love to be asked. Now I've heard they're rebooting the franchise. I would love to be asked to come in when they remake Part 3, Dream Warriors, or Part 4, Freddy's Revenge. When they do those films, I would love to be asked back to maybe, you know, there's that weird woman, she's sort of like the bitch psychologist, you know, that does the dream therapy with all the kids that are having nightmares. Why couldn't that could be a man? It could be me as the wise old dream therapist, you know, that you know, yells at the kids or something. That would be fun for the audience. I think it would be. I think it's in the tradition of horror movies to do those kind of cameos. Maybe I can shave my head or something. I don't know. I've heard that that somebody talked to Tuesday Night. Now Tuesday Night comes from a family of country western songwriters, and Tuesday replaced the Oscar-winning actress Patricia Arquette, who played Kristen in Part 3, and Tuesday played her in Part 4, the Rennie Harlan Nightmare on Elm Street. Now I've heard they approached Tuesday. I'm thinking, now what part would Tuesday play? They're obviously not going to make Part 1 again. They just did it, you know, a couple of years ago. So what would they want her to play? I was thinking, well, maybe they're going to reboot 3, or maybe they're going to mash together 3 and 4, Nightmares 3 and 4, because they have an overlapping cast. And maybe they're going to have her play her own mother. Where's the bourbon, bitch? You know, and that would be it. That's that in-joke that horror movies love. That would be great in-joke for the fans, and she can play the alcoholic mother, you know, of her own daughter, you know, of herself, and then get another young actress to play her daughter. I mean, I don't know what else they would be approaching her for, but that's the only gossip I heard recently. Yeah, I'd love to do a cameo in one of the reboots. That would be fun, I think. And good for the reboot, you know, with publicity and everything else. But no, I don't think I'll ever play Freddy again. I doubt it. I'm keeping pretty busy. I'm also doing a lot of voiceover work now, which is fun because you can show up in your underwear. More questions? Who's taking me out for a beer?